All right, everybody. Welcome back. Happy Tuesday. Today, we're going to talk kind of natural progression to what we've been talking about. We talked about, business planning and setting goals. And now the next step is obviously scheduling. So we wanted to bring up scheduling for success. There, to me, is many parts of that. One, scheduling on a yearly account, scheduling monthly, and then scheduling daily. I watched a Mike Ferry high volume selling tape before this meeting to kind of refresh and get back in the zone. And it's managing your time. And he had a lot of good points to bring up and think about when you're putting together a good schedule to meet your goals. And one of them that I really like is looking at it as if you're the employer of yourself and taking a look at Uncle Tim was talking about daily habits. Obviously, he put out a couple emails about maybe instituting some new habits. But what do your current habits look like? If you were paying yourself, are you getting your money's worth? Are you doing the things you should be doing on a daily basis? Uncle Tim and Poppy, do you want to kind of give us, the scoop on how you guys changed your daily habits back in, I think it was 1996 when you first got involved with Mike Ferry?
Well, it was actually 1999, but what we learned from Mike Ferry was something that we're used to doing and we're always in the habit of doing. Like Bobby Stevens, we never beat him in the office, but getting to the office early is very important. But what we found out from Mike Ferry is not only do you need to get to the office early, you need to start off, like I said in yesterday's email, getting in the habit of getting up a little earlier. Reading something to stimulate your mind each day. Going out, and my dad and I used to walk and listen to the scripts of Tom Ferry with Baroque music so that we could memorize and internalize the scripts. Then we made sure we did get to the office early, and we made sure we did do role playing with people across the country. And what we found and what we learned is that the morning schedule is the most important schedule that there is. Dad, do you want to elaborate on that at all about the morning schedule?
Well, the first thing I would like to say about that is if you you get up early and you're traveling to work, you see an awful lot of Mercedes, you see an awful lot of Cadillacs, and you see an awful lot of high-profile automobiles going to work because those guys are big earners. And they have created the habit of every day of their life of getting up early. And I'll go on, but I don't want to steal your thunder. You go ahead.
Okay. So again, to us, the morning schedule is very, very important, but there's more than just the morning schedule. There's more than just scheduling the role-playing time and scheduling your prospecting time. It's scheduling your lead follow-up time. It's scheduling, your appointments, when you're going to do them. And then the other thing to think about scheduling is how many days a week do you plan on working? Is there anybody here that works 7 days a week? Seth? And you'll find that there are a lot of realtors that work 7 days a week. Are there agents that work 6 days a week? Are there agents that work 5.5 days a week? Or if you're Brent, you work 3 to 4 days a week because he's normally on vacation. Oh, he's not here. Imagine that.
On vacation.
Yeah. So during the time period that my father and I were so focused on following that morning schedule and doing our job, we worked 5.5 days a week. We worked Monday through Friday, and we worked. Now, on Fridays, we typically tried not to do evening appointments. And we'd work Saturday morning till noon. So that was what our schedule was, Monday through Friday and Saturday till noon. And then we did try to take off on Sunday because Sunday is a family day. Some people consider Sunday the Lord's Day. And, you need to give yourself a break and your mind a break, unless for some reason you're doing an open house. But that was why in my email yesterday, I put one of the most important things is spending quality time with your loved ones, because you need to take a day off and spend some time with them. Is there anybody that is highly focused on a morning schedule that would like to talk about it? Seth, tell us about yours, because I know you were here bright and early this morning, earlier than anybody, because I got the email from you.
Well, I go in peaks and valleys. I try my best to get in here super early. Sometimes I can't always make it, but the whole goal is to get in here early. And it's not just to get into the office early; it's to get up early, like you mentioned. It's for me. I work best on a schedule. I know Craig and I are very similar like that, and it's to get up, get on a routine, a schedule, get your coffee at a certain time, get to the office, get the junk emails, and just get organized before the real starting time. And that motivates me. I work best in the mornings. I didn't used to be a morning person. I still kind of am not, but I have to force myself to get moving. Not only am I dependent on myself and my job, but other people depend on me as well. So just being kind of rambling, sorry, but just being on a schedule and a routine definitely helps me. It helps my attitude. It helps the workflow. I think best in the mornings. If I need to create any deeds or any addenda, that's when my brain is at its peak, and I can get those high level thinking thoughts or documents out of my head and onto paper, and help others and be a service to others.
So like I said yesterday, Seth, has the uncomfortableness of you're not a morning person, but you've gotten into the habit of being one. Now you're used to it, right?
Well, yeah. I'm still not a morning person. When I was a teenager, I'd stay up till 3, 4 in the morning, just watching TV. And I realized, at a young age, that's not productive. That's just, junk in your head. And, this, I've been doing my job a very long time. And years ago, I forced myself to get into the office and get the job done.
Okay, good. So Bobby, let's go to you next, because there's a couple of people I definitely want to call on. Tell us how and why and what previous life got you in the habits of getting to the office early, because for a lot of years, I'm talking 30 years ago, you remember you were the first one every single day that walked into that Jack Gong Realtor office. How did you get in that habit?
It was a forced habit because for 5 years, right after Millie and I were married, we were in Atlanta, Georgia, and that place is horrible as far as traffic is concerned. If you don't get in early, and I mean early, you'll sit in traffic forever. So that's what got me started, and it became a habit, and I just never lost it.
Okay. And you found that getting in early at Jack On in your younger days did kickstart your day and your morning with getting to work?
Yeah, there was always something you could do. You could find something to do. And usually it was a productive part of the day. So that that old habit just carried on over,
Right.
and I was able to put things together. If it was organizing my desk, organizing which I didn't bring here, but the desk is a mess here, but down there it wasn't. It was smaller, so maybe I should get a smaller desk. But
Right.
it was the time to just get organized and do the things that you really needed to set your mind on for the day. And I got a lot of that done.
So my dad and I would normally walk in somewhere between 7:30, 7:45. And before these things, these cell phones, Bobby was using these things that actually have a cord on it. And he would pace and walk around and talk. And he would, when I would walk in, he would be on the phone. We both sat in the bullpen of Jack on Realtor, and Bobby liked to walk while he talked. So it was funny to always walk in and see him on the phone every single morning, talking to somebody, making his calls first thing in the morning. So
I
Brooks,
still walk.
yeah, yeah. Brooks, you have a situation that I've never had to experience. You have 3 kids. And how do you stay organized on a morning schedule when you have 3 little ones at home and you have a wife that has to leave early to go to school? What systems have you put in place to keep you on schedule?
Well, it's a day by day basis because sometimes they wake up and they're wonderful little cherubs, but the other days when they're grumpy and tired, it can be more of a struggle. But the systems I put in place are one, it kind of starts the night before, getting them to bed on a consistent time frame. And then that gives me time afterwards to do my routine to kind of prep for the next day, get some reading in, get some motivational stuff in. And then I go to bed and I generally get up before them, well before them. And I get a exercise routine in, hopefully, and some more reading, and then get them, ready for the day. And, it's just kind of being prepared before and during, I guess, that morning of dealing with the kids. It's tough.
Okay. And Shelley, again, now Brooks's situation has always been different than mine and my dad's. Shelley, you get up and you work every day at your house. So
Yeah.
what's your morning routine, and what do you typically do to get this day started? And what time do you normally get started?
Well, I usually don't get up till about 7. I used to get up at 4:30 every morning, but I'm older now and I just don't really think I need to do that. But I get up and I get ready for the day. And as things start popping into my mind, because I do work from home, as things pop into my mind that I need to do, I just go ahead and do it. So I'll come over to the computer and I'll start working, or I'll take notes, or I'll text somebody, and I just generally do that morning long. And of course, in between there I have to feed the dogs, but and myself once in a while. But it is kind of a routine. It is a schedule. I didn't really plan it. I didn't think this is how I'm going to do it, but morning is when I think the straightest, and I get a lot done.
So let me ask you a question. Do you get dressed to go to work? Or do you not get
always?
dressed? What's that?
Well, I do. You know what? Even though I'm working at home, I get up and I try to dress that I look professional,
Okay.
just in case somebody would call me that says, hey, let's go look at a house. So I'm ready and I can just go.
Okay.
So yes, I do.
That was one of the things that Mike Ferry said to us when he worked from his home, was he would get up, he would get dressed, and then he'd walk into his home office and go to work. He didn't go in there in his t-shirt and shorts or his bathrobe. He got dressed to go to work, even if he was in the house.
Right. And I do that. Yes. What I meant was sometimes, because when I am getting ready, a client calls me or a thought pops into my head, and I'll come running over to my office and I might not be quite ready, but but yeah, I do. I dress professionally every day, just in case.
Okay, good. So another one of the habits of the highly scheduled thing is making phone calls and setting yourself up for prospecting time or whatever business calls you need to make. How many people make and talk on the way to work? And get some of the things out of the way that they can on the way to work. I know my dad and I, for 30 years, however long we've had cell phones, I think since 1987, we've pretty much called each other every morning on the way to work to talk about what we need to do so that when we get to work, we're not wasting our time doing that. Is there anybody else that gets 2 or 3 calls in out of their 5 to 10 calls they're supposed to make by that travel time? Or are you listening to music and listening to a podcast or something else? It's just another way to get your day started. So to me, when I leave the house, I'm at work. When I get in the car, I'm at work. Sometimes I talk to my dad, I talk to Jim Neff, I talk to Brent if he's not on vacation. Oh, you missed that segment. You weren't in the room.
Oh, he didn't miss it. He's laughing.
You weren't here when we were talking about working and do you work 7 days a week, 6, 5.5, or 3? You weren't here. But so Kong, how about you? You have 2 kids. How do you work your morning schedule?
It's exactly like what Brooke says. It doesn't matter if you have 1 or 8 kids. It just depends on their mood in the morning, and it's always different every morning. So you just have to fly by it. But again, we prep the evening before, for example, like their lunches and stuff like that, just so that we're ready. But it never ends with them. In the evening they have studies and stuff like that we help with. So I always dedicate at least an hour to an hour and a half with them so that they can learn math and stuff like that. But for me, every day, before I start the day, I generally fill out my schedule. I know we all have our calendars and stuff on our phones, but I don't rely on that just to check on. I put it in there just so that it's there. But in the mornings, I'll look at the phone, the schedule, and then write out whatever's in there into paper so that I can just carry this with me and I don't have to look at it. And it helps because, I can add my notes and I can see what I did today.
Okay.
So,
So
if anybody wants a copy of it, I'm happy to give you a copy too. So,
okay, good. Thank you. As part of your plan, your plan might have that once a week you're going to meet with somebody of importance or somebody that's an influence over lots of people to help you get business as a center of influence. It's important then after you get through the morning schedule to work on the afternoon schedule. And the afternoon schedule might be scheduling a lunch with somebody like that once a week. Not the same person, but somebody that maybe is in charge of 15 or 20 or 30 or 50 people. A lot of times you'll find that people will talk to other people at work and maybe ask their boss, who would you use? I'm looking to buy a house, that type of thing. So it's important to get into your schedule at least once a week to try to go have lunch or have coffee or, stop by and see somebody of importance that's an influencer over a lot of people that you can get business from. The afternoon schedule, a lot of times, is more the lead follow-up, your settlements, your showings, your listing appointments, your preparing for your listing appointments, those type of things on the schedule. But to us, the thing that we've always tried to focus on is the morning schedule. Now, Seth had mentioned about emails. Sometimes emails are a lot of junk, like Seth said, to get rid of junk, but sometimes emails are a lot of pain, let's say, that things that will get you upset. So my suggestion is on the emails is be careful what you read before you start your morning prospecting session. Because like Seth said, first thing in the morning, when his mind is clear, he's more prepared to prepare those addendums and do those type of things, the stuff he really needs to focus on and concentrate. And the thing that we need to do the most, and the thing we need to concentrate on the most, is having great conversations first thing in the morning with our marketing time, our opportunity time, our prospecting time, whatever you want to call it that's going to make you feel good, call it. But that is when you need to focus. And if you start reading emails and getting involved in the problems of the day, you're not going to be able to focus on making the phone call, having a great conversation, finding out what their motivation is, and securing an appointment. After you've got your appointment and you've done your morning schedule, then you've got the rest of the day to deal with all these problems that are going to mess you up and throw you off schedule. You got the rest of the day to do that. Dad, anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, there's a whole lot of things that I'd like to talk about. You're very accurate in what you're saying. Everybody on this call has contributed to what you should do daily. What everybody has to look at. This isn't just a daily thing. It's not a weekly thing. This is over a long haul. We're talking about, just like a college education takes 4 years, for you to become an ultimate professional in this business, you have to practice your trade year after year after year after year until you become the ultimate professional. Tim, when did we start Mike Ferry?
1999.
1999.
March of
What was the year that we had the best year that we ever had before we started this company?
2003.
2003.
Yeah.
So 1999 to 2003. Well, actually, we started the company in 2006, right? Okay. So we had 7 years of doing what we're talking about, the right thing on this call, day after day, week after week, year after year, to become an ultimate professional. My point is, this does not happen overnight. We're all in this for the long haul if you want to be great. And if you want to be great, and if you want to make $3, $4, $5, $6, $1 million in this business, you have to do what we're talking about every day with a burning desire that you're going to become the best. You don't compare yourself to anybody else. You compare yourself to year after year after year that you're growing professionally in every sense in the real estate business. That's the way you come and become successful, in my opinion. There's no magic pill. You know, you could talk about prospecting 2 hours a day. Do you do it? You know, I see the people we have on this call. We needed to have more for this session. This is the nuts and bolts of how we become very successful.
So Brent, if you could elaborate to us, you're probably one of the people that gets up the earliest out of everybody in the company. and tell us how and why that started and how the military affected your morning schedule, because one of the habits that you have too in the morning is not only exercising very early, but it's making your bed, which seems like a simple thing, but not everybody does it. So why don't you tell us how and why that came to be with your habits and schedule?
Yep, you're absolutely right. So, as everybody as teenagers, I mean, we think life is grand, but yes, I did go into the Marine Corps, and from that point forward, it was instilled in me as the earlier, well, it's a common phrase, the early bird gets the worm, right? So we get up, you get up first thing in the morning. The absolutely very first thing you do is you want to accomplish something immediately. And that accomplishment is as little as literally making your bed. That's the first thing that you complete and you accomplish. And then that's, you start your day out in wow, you just already took one thing and you checked it off of the list. It's as little as making your bed. Alyssa and I just had this conversation just a few days ago about making your bed, about why we do it. I mean, there's a gentleman from the Navy who actually has a presentation on the reason and the thought process and the benefits from literally making your bed. And from there, it just exercise. Yes, as Seth, my mind is the absolute clearest and the toughest things that I want to accomplish. I have to do it in the morning, because in the afternoons and the evenings, I'm not that good, but I'm fresh, I'm clear. And after I exercise, yes, I do get up at 4 a.m. every single day, is what I get up. Usually a minimum of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I absolutely exercise. And then that absolutely helps me with my clarity, the things in our bodies, endorphins, helps you with your day, helps with your motivation. And then I can make those decisions and start my day like that. So it goes back to being basic and simple.
Okay, good. Thank you. Brooks, anything else you'd like to add to the being highly scheduled?
Yeah, the only other thing I'd like to maybe bring up, and Poppy and you, to me, are both masters of this. Obviously, I'm a little biased, but tracking your numbers and knowing your numbers allows you to kind of back engineer the lead generation or whatever you do, whether it's Popeyes, direct phone calls, those events into your schedule, meaning if you know how many calls it takes to get one transaction, and on that average commission how much that is, you can calculate how many hours you need to put in each and every day. If it takes you on average 1 minute to make dial and make a phone call, how many calls you need to make and how many hours you got to put into that day to achieve whatever commission goal you set for yourself for the year. Do you want to kind of elaborate on the back engineering of that and how you can organize your schedule to fit those goals?
Well, keeping track of your numbers allows you to predict your future, and like we said in today's email about difficult roads, difficult roads lead to beautiful destinations. And, if you're tracking your numbers and you're keeping track of the amount of calls, you realize how many calls it takes in order to get an appointment and how many calls it takes in order to close a piece of transaction. So when you're experiencing difficult roads and you're getting a lot of rejection on the telephone, you can understand that it takes 101 rejections in order to get that 102 phone call in order to close a deal. And you don't worry about the difficult roads because, like I said in the email today, the difficult roads lead to beautiful destinations. So I just think that that's what's important about tracking your numbers and knowing your numbers, because it allows you to realize you're going to get a lot of rejection before you get a win. So
you have to go with blind faith. But also, when you're tracking your numbers, it's no longer just blind faith. You know what it takes to get a deal. So I don't care what you are or how you look at things. If you know it takes you 102 phone calls, somehow or other, you're going to get there. And that's the goal. You know your average commission. So if it takes 102 phone calls and your average commission is $3,000 or $4,000, if you want to make $150,000, all you do is divide that in and you find out how many phone calls it's going to take you to get there. And it makes a difference in the way you look at things, in the way you look at life. Because all of a sudden you have a reason to keep picking up that phone and calling somebody.
Brooks, what's the next topic next week?
Well, I think we're gonna try to get a hold. Mike Shealy reached out about doing a mastermind on getting inspections and that sort of situation in today's market. So we're working on that. I don't know if we'll be able to line that up for next week, but if not, we'll have another topic slipped in there. But
Okay.
Mike Shealy, home inspections is a upcoming topic.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for everybody for sharing your ideas. And Bobby, let's go ahead and say it, Bobby.
Let's go to work.